I can still Diane's for you.
All right, well, we'll get started. We'll call the meeting to order at 7:08 and call the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, looking for an approval of the agenda. Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second. Any discussion, any changes? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. So the agenda is approved. Approval of open session minutes from January 23rd, 2017. Did everyone, first of all, get a chance to look at them? I just glanced at them really quickly right now.
I've glanced, I haven't.
Do you want to wait before we approve them?
It's up to you.
Okay, I say we wait just because we haven't had a chance, so we'll table that.
I apologize for that.
Kelly, you don't
okay.
even need
No,
to,
no,
you
don't
don't
worry
even
about it.
apologize, it's no big deal at all. We'll just do it next time. Okay, motion to approve executive session minutes from January 3rd, 2017. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the executive session minutes. January 20th, 23rd, 2017.
Second. Any discussion? Any issues? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. They pass. We'll start with you, Maria, student comments.
This Tuesday morning and evening, school counselors will present beginning the college search process, a guide to post-secondary planning for parents of juniors. That would be me. National Honor Society induction of 34 students will take place this Thursday, February 9th at 7 p.m. in the Nipmuc Auditorium. To be eligible for membership, students must have a cumulative grade point average of 3.0 and must meet high standards of leadership, service, and character. The A Cappella Festival will be held on Friday, February 10th. This annual concert will feature our own Misco and Nipmuc A Cappella Ensemble, as well as several invited high school, collegiate, and professional groups. The ski club trip to Killington Mountain takes place on Saturday, February 11th, with approximately 30 Nipmuc Ski Club students attending a day trip to Killington Mountain in Vermont to experience skiing on one of the largest mountains in New England. That's it for student comments. That's good. Excuse me, I have a lot of homework to do.
Go right ahead, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any community comments? Nobody? Okay, moving right along to superintendent comments.
All right, well, good evening. First off, just a quick update on where the state is with regard to the revised MCAS test or MCAS 2.0. I put in the background notes a link for your perusal of the website that they put up and running for practice tests and so on. as you can see, very much being run by Pearson, who is also the producer of the PART test. So we can anticipate a lot of these items on MCAS 2.0 to be very PARC-like, so to speak, which in many cases have a higher level of cognitive demand. Right now, they've released only for the computer-based test items for the ELA, and it says the math items, which I think could be of greater concern, or what essentially what our kids need a little bit more practice on as far as getting those math manipulatives down pat. Those items should be coming soon. So in earnest, at our elementary schools, at least grade 4, and then at the middle school, we are starting the process of practicing so the kids can become proficient on using the different tech tools. And our IT director, Joe Lakeview, will be, within the next couple of weeks, doing what they refer to as the technology setup test to ensure that if we have approximately 800 users using simultaneously, there aren't any issues with the test navigation app or our internal network. Okay. My second item is just a quick update on where we are with the CPAC. Myself and Dennis, I believe it was a week ago tonight, met with, I think we had about 30 to 35 parents here in the PDC interested in reviving our Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. So we got a lot of terrific feedback. We've also have sent out a online survey, which we will also send out again. It's actually slated to go out again this evening, to get some specific ideas for programming, for workshops, and the like, for parents. So the game plan is to reconvene that group on Monday, March the 6th, also here, to report out what are the results of the survey and what our next steps are. Okay, so looking forward to it, and a lot of great ideas came out of that. Then I've also put in your packet a copy of the work that's being displayed through the Massachusetts Art Month, Youth Art Month exhibit. Once again, we have, in my humble opinion, really great representation from artists, this time K through 12 for the first time. The high school is being involved in a month-long exhibit starting on the 13th at the State Transportation Building in Boston. Over 900 pieces of artwork will be displayed in this, and actually in Mendon-Upton we have over 35 of our artists displaying their work. So I think that really speaks well for the program and the young artists that will be displayed. So really looking forward to that. Then last but not least, last week I was asked by the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Ed, Mitchell Chester, to host a community forum within our districts. He is in the process of doing regional forums to kind of talk about the successes of K through 12 education in the Commonwealth, but also some of the challenges. In fact, he just hosted one last week in Fitchburg. I put a link to the article behind it. But this is a forum open to all stakeholders within our district, but also all 12 districts in the Blackstone Valley. So that will be held here in the high school auditorium on Wednesday, March 29th, starting at 6 p.m. So looking forward to that. I think he's going to couple it, at least in the afternoon, with a visit to our district, check out some of our schools and some of the instruction going on, and some of our programming. So really looking forward to that, and obviously, as school committee members, you're more than welcome to be part of that event.
Okay, moving right on to budget subcommittee.
We met last Thursday night. We reviewed all of the material that Jill will be presenting tonight, so I'm going to let him pass it right over to him.
Just give me 1 minute to get this up and running. Hey Jay, can you do me a favor? Maybe that needs to be on VGA 2. Want to just change?
Not HDMI.
Or HDMI, perhaps? Yeah. Should be the smart.
Yeah. So they're probably gonna be knowing how to work this, right? Yeah, didn't work.
Point it up there.
What's that?
Point it at that.
Top?
Yeah, right. So,
Let's do it something right. Let's try it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, go to HDMI 1. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you, Joe.
Came through for you.
So we're slated in approximately 5 weeks to certify the budget for FY18. So when we're at this point in the school year, we do have some of the initial projections where over the past 8 to 10 weeks, we've taken in the proposed budget from all of our principals, from all of our department heads. And at this juncture, we have the governor's numbers on that first budget, known as the House 1 budget. So I'll share with you where exactly we are in the process right now. I've always been a big believer that the best budgets are built around some essential goals. The goal of this budget is to essentially maintain level services. That means essentially keeping the programs and services in place that we have presently for all of our kids. Really, it's about continuous improvement and continuing that cycle of continuous improvement that runs throughout all of our plans, throughout our strategic plan, keeping that going and being able to keep forward the objectives of next year being year 5 of our strategic plan. And as always, to maximize efficiencies and pursue cost savings. We've talked about many of these things over the last several months and last year, but the current state of our district, in my humble opinion, is very strong. If you look at, and I'll show you the actual numbers, class sizes at all levels, in my opinion, are very conducive to student learning, personalized learning. Our high school is going very, very strong. Last year, it was one of 8 high schools in the state that was named as a commendation high school. And Newsweek magazine named Nipmuc High School last August as one of the top 500 high schools across America. At MISCO, because of the increased support from the community, we've been very successful in expanding both extracurricular and our athletic offerings available to kids in all 3 sports seasons. We've had a lot of success, particularly at the elementary and middle school levels, in implementing and building the inclusion model, supporting all of our learners. We've had, as you know, one of our major goal areas is really improving what we're doing and improving our professional knowledge base in social emotional learning. And we've talked at the school committee level about things like the mentoring programs at both the elementary and middle school level. Some of the updates that have gone forward with the second step curriculum and the work that we've done both at the middle and high school with regard to wellness weeks. And as Maureen talks about, the work that we've been ongoing with regard to curriculum mapping and consistently reviewing and revising our curriculum K through 12. So all of those pieces are directly tied to our goals and objectives in our strategic plan. So with that said, we have to take a look at our enrollment. Again, that trend of that gentle downward slope, like 80% of the districts in Massachusetts, we actually have declining enrollment. Looking at our NESDEC enrollment figures, we're projecting approximately 40 fewer students next year than we have this year. This year, our official October 1st enrollment number is 2,273 students. A year ago, when I gave this presentation, the projection was for 2,267. So NESDEC was pretty close. They were only off by 7. The biggest hit that we see is at the Clough Elementary School, and that just kind of speaks to how many kids we're projecting to come into kindergarten versus how many are leaving the 4th grade. Okay, essentially, you're talking about 95 kids leaving the 4th grade, and they'll probably be replaced with between 60 and 65 kindergartners. Okay, we're seeing that also at Memorial, but not to such a large degree. MISCO, we will have about 180 or so, 180 to 85 coming in as 5th graders, and approximately 200 will be leaving the 8th grade. Nipmuc is our only school that will actually gain enrollment for the simple reason is that they'll have they have a very small senior class this year. It's only 121 kids. So we're projecting that they'll be replaced by a freshman class in the ballpark of about 150. Okay. As we do for charging what the assessments to each community are, we break it down by town. As you can see, we're still roughly in that 45 to 55 split of Mendon to Upton. That virtually that changes every year. From this current year to next year, it literally changed by maybe a 1/10 of a percentage point. It's almost identical. I talked a little bit about our class sizes. As you can see, we're in a very good place. For the elementary schools, they're identical at a hair under 20 for average class size. This goes a little higher at 23, and the high school is a hair under 20. So this budget that I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about is a budget of $33,435,516. That represents a 2.55% increase from this current year's budget. Like I said, it maintains level services, and it also keeps the class sizes that I just showed you intact. Okay. So what are the large operational drivers? The first two rows that you see here are always going to be your largest increases. Your salary line and your employee benefits. Right now, looking at salary increases, including steps and lanes, we've budgeted a hair under 2%, which comes out to be $408,000. Okay, that takes into account places where we could have attrition or conceivably consolidation of programs. Okay, we've got situations where, yes, we are looking at decreased enrollment, but we also have places where we'll have some retirements. We will use attrition, and in some places consolidation of some programs, basically to save money, but also to maintain the class sizes, which we have now, which are favorable. Employee benefits, that's by far the largest driver that we have in the budget. We have, right now, we're budgeting a 15% in healthcare insurance through Harvard Pilgrim Health, which comes out to be about $690,000. We're going very conservative here. So you know, the general trend with municipalities is about 10 to 11% is the way they're trending. We think we can do better than that. We've had some favorable usage reports. We're hoping we could be more in the ballpark of perhaps 6 to 8%. But as you know, for this first blush, we go on the conservative side. And so Jay has budgeted 15%, and I think that's prudent. The next one for our employees who are not part of the Mass Teacher Retirement System, we've budgeted 6.6. That's an increase that's fixed. We already got that assessment. We've lowered by 25,000 our unemployment line, because quite frankly, we have less of those folks out there. At the last meeting, we approved the bus contract that calls for a 6.7% increase in our regular transportation with Tillstone and Son. And we're also looking at about a little more than a 2% increase for special ed transportation. That's a typo. That should be 19,000 increase. Student services, we've got a 15% increase in out-of-district tuitions. Part of that is some new placements, but also some families that have moved within the community. All other of our expenditures in student services are level. We talk every year about some of the savings and some of the efficiencies. This is a year that we actually actualize with the solar project, with our 2 off-site ground-based units and our core carports, $46,000 savings in solar credits, which I think is fairly significant. But again, buildings and grounds, for the most part, level funded, a modest amount to upgrade our security cameras and our software at all 4 buildings. As far as our technology and then textbook and instructional supplies, a lot of this is carryover of initiatives that we've already put in place with regard to here at the high school and the middle school with the support to our one-to-one learning program. As we talked about with the passage of the override, we anticipate next school year will be the first year that essentially 100% of our iPad devices will be owned by the district. We're pretty much in the ballpark of around 80% now this current school year. So that'll continue, continuation of leases with our smart boards for at the elementary level, and then also continuation of our 4-year lease through both Hewlett-Packard and Apple for desktops and laptops. As far as our textbook lines, continuation of second of 2 payments for our new K-5 math program. We've got teachers at the elementary level very excited over some different apps that they're using with regard to literacy, one specifically known as Lexia. They've started on a pilot basis using a science program known as Mystery Science. And we've got a couple of our teachers, I believe they're at Memorial, who are piloting a digital portfolio program, an app for kids and their parents known as Seesaw. So some very exciting work with that. So we're looking to ramp that up and license that. And I did make that note that our overall textbook line is less, the second straight year that it's less, in part because the maturation of lease payments, but also at the secondary level, conversion to digital text is also been a money saver for us. So here's the rub where it usually is with a first pass budget. At this point, our expenditures are increasing at a rate of 3.95%, which translates to a little bit under $1.3 million in our increase in our budget. As far as the revenue that we're looking at, again, we only have the governor's budget, which was released a week and a half ago. We picked up $20 additional per student, which translates to $42,000. Obviously not very much. The regional transportation right now is increasing by $117,000. Turns out that regional transportation was level funded. So you're saying to yourself, if it's level funded, why do we have $117,000 additional dollars? It turns out there was a discrepancy in what was put in our end of the year cherry sheet in July versus what they gave us now. That discrepancy was $117,000 in our favor. Okay, so that 117 actualization is not real money, for lack of a better term. And then also in our net charter reimbursement, the money that we get for, we have a grand total of 7 students going to charter schools from Mendon-Upton. We actually have a decrease in payment of that of $16,000. So right now on paper, our increase in state aid is $143,000. So our local assessments, the minimum local contribution is something that we do not determine. That's determined also by the state. So the minimum local contribution increased to Mendon by $183,000 and to Upton by $221,000. Now, when you match those amounts in the proportions by 45% Mendon to 55% Upton, and you roll over the operational additional, we're projecting our additional increase to Mendon to be $261,917, and to Upton $319,804. Ironically, almost identical in the percentage increase from FY17, 3.04 and 3.07. So between the two communities, the increase is $581,721. So as far as the things that we fund ourselves or district receipts, last year we funded E&D, or our excess and deficiency account, to the tune of $250,000. We've increased that by $150,000 to $400,000. Some of our revolving accounts we decreased. Again, we've been taking from the full day K account, but now that we haven't had full day K for 4 years, obviously some of those funds are decreasing, so that is $45,000 less. So the total district receipts funding is $650,000. So as I said from the get-go, we've got an anticipated expenditure increase of 3.95, but the anticipated revenue increase is a little more than 2.5%, or specifically at this juncture, $830,246. So the funding sheet, which I've also included in the background notes, as you can see, the breakdown, that additional state aid of $143,525 comes out to be a whopping 1.10% increase. And you can see the breakdown of First Mendon. And if you notice, you see towards the bottom of that slide, under debt service, a lot of red. And then the bottom line, total Mendon operational assessment, actually becomes negative 113,893, or minus 1.21%. The reason you see all that red is the debt from this school, Nipmuc, comes off the books. So the 20-year note is over. So actually, the total operational assessment, including debt service, to both communities will actually be lower next year than it is this current fiscal year. So very important. So again, you see it's lower by 113,893, and then in the case of Upton, it's slightly lower, or it's in the same ballpark. It's lower by 161,880. So I think the bottom line right now, and this isn't uncommon for where we are right now for February 6th, but our gap is $459,027 between projected expenditures and the projected revenue. But keep in mind at this juncture, both on the revenue and the expenditure sides of the house, we go very conservative. Okay, budgeting 15% is very conservative. Generally speaking, the governor's budget numbers are also very conservative. To give you perspective, last year, the governor's budget was $20 per student. By the time it reached the Senate budget in May, it was $55 per student. Usually the House and the Senate also do better with regional transportation reimbursement than is typically in the governor's budget. So the point is, the gap exists. We're looking at it. We're concerned about it. But I think that second point about the variables still existing, we anticipate, hopefully by March, locking in where we'll be with regard to insurance. Again, as you know, you've been through this before. The House budget is released in mid-April. The Senate budget is released in mid-May. And then there's also always the variability of kindergarten enrollment, how many kids are going to sign up, what is it going to look like. And I believe I've shown this graph in the past. Here it is with one additional year of data. As you can see, the lower blue line are the actual live births within the both communities. And then the green line represents 5 years after the fact, how many kiddos actually enrolled in kindergarten. So you can see the last line where you actually see the blue and the green is this current school year. So the little guys that were born in 2011, how many enrolled, and you can see it's in the ballpark of about 30 or so additional kids that were actually born. So that kind of makes sense. It takes into account migration and so on. If you look at what happens between 2011 and 2012, it actually jumps. Between the two communities, it's a jump of about 25 additional kids. I don't know. We're coming out of the recession. I don't know what the theory behind it is. But then you can see going to 2014, it starts to slope downward again, okay? That is kind of consistent with the theme, okay? If you look at the longer trend of projected enrollment, again, as we've talked about, you see that gentle downward trend as we head farther and farther out, 10 years out from where we are now in the 16-17 school year. Another way of looking at it is these bar graphs, and by the time we reach October 1st of 2020, so it's essentially 3.5, 3.75 years from now, we could be looking at about 200 fewer students in our district from these two communities, barring some incredible boom in the economy, some incredible
Migration to Upton.
migration to Upton or Mendon, construction. I don't know, but the trend is happening. And I think the bigger picture is, I think we as a community, we as an administration, and you as a school committee, we've got to be vigilant about looking for efficiency, looking for places that we can consolidate, keeping our class sizes where they are, keeping things reasonable, but also being cognizant of this is the reality of what we're dealing with. So I think that's essentially where we are now. Like I said before, it's really about our strategic plan. And I intentionally highlighted those 4 words that are really the crux of our vision. It's about excellence, it's about innovation, and it's about that cycle of continuous improvement. It's about delivering the services that we can, getting to know our kids, carving that niche, carving those relationships to really maximize student achievement. So again, upcoming dates essentially are the same. I think, like I said, you will be 5 weeks from tonight certifying the budget. I anticipate you'll probably be certifying something very close to that 2.55% number. Because, as you can see, the other events that are happening happen well after that March 13th certification date. Okay, and as you know, the state is supposed to have their budget finalized by June 30th, before the start of a new fiscal year. A lot of times that's more in the ballpark of July 15th, July 20th. And you know, if we have to change and we have to react in August, like we have in the past, we will. But essentially that's where we are right now.
So going back up to the kindergarten projections or whatever, do you have a handle on next year's kindergarten?
Right now, no, because the only numbers that we have right now are parents who have taken packets, okay? So the actual registration starts at end of this week, start of next week. So I guarantee you by that March 13th date, we definitely will have a better handle on it. We did hold the kindergarten information night. We also held the kindergarten Spanish immersion night. Very, very well attended. Numbers look strong. Numbers particularly look strong in Upton. So we'll see. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving right along, I don't believe we have any old business this evening, so we'll move on to new business and the approval of Upton Men's Club Firework Festival request.
Thank you.
I'm Brad DiDio.
Hi,
Most
Brad.
of you know me. from previous. So this year's fireworks festival is planned for June 24th, with the rain date the following day. And I'm here again to request permission. No changes to the event. I've already submitted the use of facilities form and seek your approval.
So we need to do a formal vote, correct?
Correct.
So we start with the motion.
Make a motion to approve the Upton Men's Club Firework Festival request. Second.
Okay, since we have no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. There you go.
Thank
All
you.
set. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.
Our pleasure. Okay, another approval of field trip request for Nipmuc Music.
Okay, you have in your packet some information about a field trip, a proposed field trip of the entire Nipmuc Music Department, who would like to bring students, not this April vacation, but the next April vacation, to the Festival Disney competition, which will be at Walt Disney World in Orlando from April 12th to April 16th, 2018. I can honestly say, during my Mansfield days, I've been to this. It's a high-quality event. It's literally would be our students competing against other students from across the country. Very high-quality event, and high-end qualified judges from also across the country. Simon is here this evening.
Yeah, so I've done it several times in previous districts, and it's a wonderful event for the students. Basically, it's got two prongs to it, educationally speaking. It has the competition, which has the traditional perform and have judges critique you, but these judges actually come from universities from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. So you get different perspectives from the usual people that we'll have in Massachusetts when we do our festivals here. And the second prong, which is very interesting, is that we actually sign up to do a workshop where you will actually be able to perform a piece of music working with a professional musician from Disney who will work with each ensemble and get them ready, and then they will actually record a soundtrack that they can watch and listen to themselves play back with. So the ability to work with a professional musician at Disney, somebody, as we all know, Disney is known for its music, and a lot of people get their start there. A lot of jazz musicians start there playing in the bands, and so to be able to work with one of those artists is an incredible opportunity for them. So this two-pronged approach for the curriculum, and then obviously what the students really enjoy is the ability to do the parks, but it is set up so that we make sure that the festival is the priority. We go down, we get there at night, and then that next day will be the festival priority for us, where we're looking to take 5 ensembles, 2 choruses, 2 concert bands, and the jazz ensemble, and they will perform at those festivals, and then the next day is workshop. So it is a lot of work for them musically. It's not all fun and games, and then we'll do one more day where it's kind of just all the parks. There's a huge award ceremony in a massive amphitheater, and the kids, will all be wearing their Nipmuc Music T-shirts, and we'll all be representing, and hopefully bringing home, another trophy to New England, like similar to what happened last night.
With less anxiety.
Well, yes,
please.
yeah, no, we can't take that. The projected cost per student is roughly about $1,400 per student. We're looking at, that's about 100 students. We take about 10 chaperones, so the maximum I'm willing to travel with is about 10 to 1. So if chaperones are going, we have 10 students per chaperone. Chaperones are covered as far as that's concerned because they're working. I have a very strong philosophy that if we pay for you to go, you're going to be working for us and you're going to be available to us. So that's why we require them to go essentially free of charge, because they're going to be working a lot of hours. We had a very successful trip to Washington, D.C., and I think it's a great opportunity for us to step outside and push it a little further. And again, the quality of this festival is well known. As far as the cost, fundraising is available. Students have been fundraising this year in preparation for a trip. They don't know where. I've obviously dropped hints to try and motivate them as much as I possibly can. As soon as I can make it official, we have a mattress fundraiser coming up that we'll promote. We will do parent nights as soon as I get approval to do the trip. We will start doing informational parent nights so that people are aware of what the costs are and how they can fundraise and how they can support that. The Music Boosters have always been gracious with their scholarships. So any students who are in need and require a scholarship, the boosters will help pick that up under conditions, that the students are required to do certain things to earn those scholarships. Nobody goes for free as far as that's concerned. They will also be doing the work to earn that. So there's opportunities to fundraise, so the students should not be left out because they can't necessarily afford it. They have the opportunities to participate either through the scholarships and through fundraising. Questions?
Sounds great.
You want to go?
Anybody want to chaperone? Where would we looking?
Disney.
Children would not be happy. Since my twins are planning to go.
Yeah, I'm just heading to Disney for a few days.
See, I can
Maybe
spin that
hi.
for them though, because then they don't have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about mom's always going to be there.
Right, absolutely.
No, it sounds great.
Yeah,
It
that's-
sounds wonderful. We would need a motion to approve this.
Motion to approve the Nipmuc Music Department trip in April of 2018.
Second.
And I don't think we have any further discussion, correct? All those in favor? Aye.
Brilliant.
Go to Disney.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, another approval. Our 2017-18 school calendar.
So you should, everybody got this time, right?
Yeah.
That's good to know. Very straightforward, kind of rolling over our existing calendar. Per usual, we would be starting before Labor Day. So our teachers would report on the 28th of August, and our students' first day would be August 30th, that Wednesday. Very straightforward, kind of keeps intact the existing structure that we went with as far as putting in the teacher conferences in November with the same as the Veterans Day to kind of ameliorate the old no school November type thing. But keeping intact February and April vacation. And that brings us to the last day of school being Thursday, the 14th of June. And building in the 5 potential snow days would bring us to Thursday, June 21st. Any comments or questions?
Dr. Mushek, can I just ask that this be held for negotiations with the union?
I'm sorry?
Could I ask that this be held for negotiations with the union?
It would be up to the chair.
Yeah, I don't see why not, right? Am I correct? Or,
This is what I would do. You can approve it tonight. You can always approve an amended version.
after we complete
Yeah,
negotiations?
if there was one thing in specific to be brought to the table, Shelley, for an issue, then it can be done
We
so.
could just bring it back up again to.
Correct. So, yeah, and my concern is, I think it is prudent to get something out there, even if it's in a draft form, because you really don't want to go late into the school year. Because think about the perspective of parents who say, okay, hey, I want to book next April vacation. Gee, which week is that? Or I want to book this long weekend that
Basically
goes
for
with
planning
Veterans Day.
purpose.
Correct.
Are you okay with that? Okay, excellent. Okay, so I would need a motion to approve the 17-18 school calendar. Make a motion to approve this 17-18 school calendar.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So it passes and we can revisit it if we need to. Correspondences.
You just have 2 things in your packet. One, and I'm not sure if everybody receives these directly via email, but one is the legislative bulletin, which comes out.
We just received that this week.
Okay. Okay, so that's in your packet. And then also a workshop that I thought was fairly interesting. It is going to be on March 10th at Clark University, and it's a joint conference by MASC and MASS, known as the Summit on Poverty. So the advertisement for that, if anybody is interested in attending that, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to register you.
Okay, any other matters not anticipated by the committee within 48 hours of posting? No? Okay, so future agenda items include the superintendent's mid-cycle progress on February 27th. And on March 13th, we have the MERS-D FY18 open budget hearing. All right, I believe that kind of wraps us up for this evening, so we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 7:57 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
We need to.
That would be fun.